performing mental training and visualization repeatedly and in a very restricted way that makes it easier to perform those trials over and over and over again and with a high degree of accuracy, almost always, really, we can fairly say in essentially every study where it's been explored, has led to improvements in real-world performance of both cognitive and/or physical tasks. I'd like to establish this as the first principle of mental training and visualization, which is that if you are going to use mental training and visualization to its best effect in order to engage neuroplasticity and learning, you need to keep those visualizations quite brief, really on the order of about 15 to 20 seconds or so, and pretty darn sparse, meaning not including a lot of elaborate visualization, not including a lot of sequences of motor steps. What I mean are motor sequences, if you're trying to learn something in terms of physical movement, or visual sequences or auditory sequences, if you're trying to learn things in terms of music or dance, etc., that can be completed and repeated in 15 seconds or less. Now, later I'll give you a couple of specific examples, but if you want to use mental training and visualization, understand this is the key first principle. They have to be very short visualizations that you can repeat over and over and over again with a high degree of accuracy. So you don't want to embark on a mental training and visualization paradigm in which it involves a lot of elaborate stimuli and you have to think really hard and work really hard, even if you're in that category of people who can do mental visualization pretty naturally and easily. Now, if you're somebody who can't do mental visualization, in fact, if you're somebody who has full-blown aphantasia or the inability to mentally visualize, well, then it's especially important that you make those mental trainings and visualizations really brief and very, very simple. The processing speed of imagined experiences is exactly the same as the processing speed of real experiences. If people were asked to visualize a cube and rotate it from, flip it from top to bottom, okay, so put the top that's upward on a table now down on the table and so forth, or to migrate around the island, counterclockwise, going from, the northern coast all the way down to the southern coast clockwise and then back up to the northern coast, that they could have just done it really quickly, like all in 1 second. But that's not what happens. They always match the speed at which they do things in their mind's eye to the same speed that they do them in the real world. So in telling you this, what I'm saying is that mental visualization at the neural level is identical to real world events. So when you've heard that when we imagine something, it's identical in terms of our brain's experience of it and our body's experience of it, as when we actually experience something, that is true at the neural level. However, when it comes to learning and improving performance in the cognitive or physical domain, they are not equivalent. So this is the second principle of mental training and visualization. As you recall, the first principle of mental training and visualization was that in order to make it effective, it needs to be very brief and very simple and repeated over and over again. The second principle of mental training and visualization is that while yes, mental training and visualization recaptures the same patterns of neural firing in the exact same ways as real-world behavior and thinking, it is not as effective as real-world behavior and thinking. In other words, if you want to learn something, the ideal situation is to combine real training in the physical world with mental training. Now, there's a really incredible set of experiments that illustrate why it is that mental training and visualization can be extremely effective, but that it's always going to be most effective when combined with real-world training and experiences. It's the combination of imagined and real-world experiences, real motor movements, real perceptual experiences combined with motor movements, combined with what you imagine in your mind's eye, that really gives you the most depth and flexibility over your mental visualization.